Have you ever stumbled onto a conspiracy in real life? Have you ever accidentally gotten into a real-life conspiracy, perhaps at work or school or university, like people doing suspicious things or government psyops? Just anything at all that you don't think you were supposed to see. Be living on farm, nighttime, about 11 p.m, dark as hell. Procrastinated all day and only remembered to feed horses when I was going to bed. Scared 'cause night, so grab my 9mm 'cause I'm a pussy. All goes well. Be in barn, getting feed. Hear weird noise behind me, kinda like the Half-Life 2 stalker scream, but quieter and more high-pitched. Turn around with gun drawn, safety off. Sparse moonlight, but can see a small black creature about the size of a dog in doorframe. Can see at least one eye glistening in the light on top of its head. Pick related MS Paint drawing of the thing. Point gun at it and yell, "Fuck off." It opens its maw and screeches again. See glistening fangs. It starts advancing. Boom. Fucker gets launched backwards, screeching while doing so. It gets back up quickly, tries to leap at me, but its leg must be fucked up or something, 'cause it only goes like 4 inches off the ground. Thing is on the ground, screeching at me. Walk over to it. Decide to stomp it until death. Horse is all riled up by now, so the beast screeching is mixed with 6 horses neighing. Try to bring boot down on it, but hurts like hell, like it's a porcupine or something. It has a couple of spines running down its back, somehow went through my boot. Thing bites my ankle. Boom. Little fucker staggered for a moment, but mostly unharmed. Kick it off of boot and into barn siding. Thing leaps again, but I dodge out of way. Sounds like those leapy things from transit. Boom. Aim for the eye this time. It gets flipped over. Boom. Shoot for the stomach this time. Seems to be genuinely hurt by now. Pursue. It tries backing away, but I grab its leg. Covered in slippery, oil-like fluid. Thing feels kinda scary, but hard to tell. Throw it into barn again. Keep in mind, thing is screeching like transit fog goblin this entire time. Boom. Stops moving, and screech dies down into a grumble. Use first aid kit on my leg and reload. Go to sleep. Wake, and type this out. Post to 4chan. Any idea what this was? Be poor. Get job renovating / cleaning up hoarder homes. Miserable work, but I get $100 an hour for a 10-hour shift. More than worth it, IMO. Working with 2 other guys to clean up a hoarder home that an old woman died in. Body was already removed. There is still remnants from the police officers though. Whatever. We are getting the trash out. I'm cleaning up the basement. Basement was flooded, about ankle height. Had these wooden pallets placed in the water for people to walk on. Notice, as I'm cleaning up soggy cardboard and wet rat shit, that something smells particularly foul, like puke. Look down into the murky, brown water and squint. There is a drain in the floor. It's clogged up with something. Looks like white toilet paper. Yell for the other guys to come over and check this out, because it could make my job 1,000 times easier. One guy pushes in the wet toilet paper shit with a broom handle. Punctures right through with ease, and the water starts draining already. He pulls the broom back. We all shit bricks, as the smell not only gets worse, but we realize the broom handle was now stained bloody red. We nub and call the police. I never get told what exactly was there. We just get paid leave for 2 to 3 days, while the police investigate what is in the drain. Ask my boss about it about a day before we get back to work. In the most nonchalant tone imaginable. Yeah, there are about 30 dead cats down there. All of my fucking want. It's not scary, but it is weird. Go fishing with a friend in a river near a hydroelectric power plant. The place has several forests and canyons nearby. We can't catch anything, but something always took the bait. 9 p.m. we decided to leave, and so we took the bikes. When we are only a few kilometers close to the road, we decide to stop to rest. Suddenly, we heard a truck honk loud as hell. My friend looks at me with a serious face, and then he was pedaling like crazy forward at full speed. I did not understand, so I followed him. The bastard went on like this until we were on the road, well away from those dead bush pastures. Wonder what the hell got into him. Didn't you hear? I replied that I heard the truck's horn, but he said that was not it. He says he heard a roar coming from the bushes behind the fences. He explains to me that it was something unlike anything he had ever heard. I don't know what it could have been, as it's unusual to have large animals in this area. I'll bite. Anyways, I have had a fair number of encounters with what I suspect to be an individual entity. Incorporeal, very territorial, and which to the best of my knowledge, believes to own me in a way akin to how one owns a valuable trinket. I'm just going to detail one of the later encounters. It was about 11 p.m. at night. My family was asleep. I was fucking around on my phone, watching YouTube. Normal stuff for me at the time. I'm getting really thirsty, so I turn my screen brightness to max and tiptoe out of my room, down the hall, through the kitchen to the water cooler that we have in our house. We are on a well, but the city sucked up so much water, we have too many heavy metals in our water. I get my water and drink it there. Decide that I don't feel like taking the glass back to my room and just leave it. Start walking back. I'm in the kitchen, which is separated by a bar from the living room. All of a sudden, and this bit is important, without me being blinded in the slightest, the living room and doorway room area with the tile is lit up. No shadows, no varying intensity. All a flat, daylight bright light. Mind you, this was when it was pitch black outside and inside. No lights turned on. Outside the window is pitch black. The hallway to my room is pitch black. Inside the door area is two massive, elephant-looking legs, gray, but generally smooth and straight like a rod of milled steel, near the top of the arch, so about 7 feet, or what I assume to be knees, as it is wrinkly. I just know that the creature is significantly taller and should not be able to fit in that space. I also know that this was a form of intimidation and a challenge to me. In an earlier encounter, I calmed myself down by repeating that they could not come inside the house. Guess I was wrong. I sprinted into my room, only avoiding hitting the walls cause it's my childhood home and I like to slink around at night. Shut my door, kinda slam it, lock it. Turn the lights on in my room the very second after I lock the door. Ceiling light with fan. Light is on, but fan is not. I get onto my bed and go fetal position on top of it, facing the door, too petrified to get any closer to the door. Stay up all night, staring at the door. Only time I moved was after a few hours. Don't remember the exact time, and that was simply to get into my covers in case my parents woke up early. Stayed up until the sun came up. Only by then did I turn off my ceiling light and lay in my bed. I don't think I got any sleep though. The day after was rough, an all-nighter filled with hormones and such. The drawing I made about 3 days ago just had a sudden fervor and knew I needed to visualize, so I drew it the best as I could from memory. The actual event was probably 4 to 5 years ago. Anyways, don't comply to what strange voices tell you to do. I am certain it will not go well for you. Try and have a good day, y'all. Something happened earlier tonight actually. It's not much of a story, but I felt that kind of real, overwhelming, instinctual dread I've seldom experienced. I work in a kennel. We only have a few animals right now because there's been pretty heavy snow, so I was finishing up the night alone. Taking everyone out to do their business is the last thing we do before locking up for the night. I was taking the last dog for the last walk, an adorable Alaska Malamute puppy who loves the snow. The edge of our property is surrounded by some thick woods. It's a still, clear, silent night. We were jogging around the perimeter. We got to a point and she starts acting hesitant. She keeps looking into the brush. I encourage her to keep up. Then she comes to a full stop, puts her ears back, leans on her haunches, and starts barking at a clearing we can see through the trees. I had never seen her do that. I crouch by her and give her a scratch to calm her, and then look. I can't see anything, just trees, so I listen. What the fuck is that? Breathing. Heavy, loud, wet, guttural breathing. It took me a couple of frozen seconds to process what I was hearing before I decided we needed to book it. We ran back to the fenced-in part of my yard. I locked the gate and waited for her to poop. I had no idea what that was. It did not sound like an animal, and if it was a person, they were either hurt or purposefully trying to fuck with me. I shook it off pretty quickly and went about locking up. I punched in the security code and was out the door, and then the alarm started going off. I was already feeling a bit disoriented, and I've never actually heard the alarm sound before. After a couple of seconds of confusion, I call my boss. He says he will check it out. He calls a minute later and says it was just a malfunction. Go home, don't worry about it. I checked all the logs one more time from the outside and did another walk around the perimeter of the building. There was nothing, so I left. And now I'm at home praying I don't go in tomorrow to find a kennel full of animals ritually slaughtered by some psychopath or consumed by some malevolent, incorporeal entity. Wow, that got so long for what essentially is nothing. I was probably just hallucinating. Kinda scary experience from last week. On YouTube, browsing. See video by Mr. Morg. Insanity drug. Sure, why not? First minute is instructions. Dark room, full screen video, loud headphones, undisturbed, etc. Follow directions. Disclaimer, don't watch if you have mental illness and such. Sound starts. Hard to describe. Creepy voice talks to me. Asks me to permit him to speak. By continue video, I permit him to speak. Gibberish, twisted voices start. Can't quite understand. They stop. Continue video. Noise in background gets louder. Sort of buzz hum, but windy. More windy hums join in and get louder and higher. Gibberish begins again. For some reason, feel paranoid. Somebody is behind me. Can't move. Body pinned to chair, and I'm freaking out. Noises unbearably loud and indescribable. I start twitching. Head jerks to side. Afraid this is what a seizure is. A million thoughts per second. Gibberish is in my head. Suddenly, all stops. Deep rumbling. More afraid than I have ever been. Someone is behind me. I can't move. Voice instructs me to close eyes. Can't resist. I do. Moment I do, noise is gone. Gentle hum starts. Sit there for what feels like forever, unable to think or move. Paranoia dies away. Feeling okay now. Rest of day, vision snaps from out of focused to hyper-focused on one thing. Be me. Be 20 years old. Love everything to do with the Cold War. Have some friends that are the same way. Go with them to explore the abandoned Nike missile complex. When we get there, it was not too different from any other abandoned place. Fence with barbed wire surrounding the place. Falling apart buildings with asbestos hanging through the drywall ceiling. Broken glass everywhere. Every wire had been stripped of all of its copper. After a while, we started to smell something. It smelled so fucking bad. We almost had to leave. I decided to get my friends to stay around and find the source of the smell. Eventually, we found it. There were 3 rusted air vents coming out of the ground. We now realize that there is a bunker underneath this complex and begin searching for an exit. It turned out to be underneath the radar dome. The entrance was a deep, concrete stairway going down into darkness. I head down the concrete stairs with 2 friends. The other 2 were too scared to come down, so they waited topside. I did not blame them. The deeper we went, the stronger the scent got. As we went through the maze of dark as hell, damp, concrete walkways, we saw some fucked up graffiti and a ton of empty cans on the ground. Not just soda and beer cans, but cans of soup and other foods as well. We finally come to one room that is larger than the rest in the bunker and see a bunch of turned off lights, burnt out candles, and a fire pit. In the ceiling was a large, cylindrical air vent that the fire pit was beneath. Near the fire pit were a shitload of empty cans. We also noticed that there was not any more graffiti in this room. My friend starts surveying the room more, drops her flashlight, and lets out the most blood-curdling scream. The echo made it 100 times worse. I rush over to see what happened. I then notice that my flashlight is landed on the body of a dead woman, maybe in her late 20s, but it was hard to tell because she was starting to decay. Oh shit, that's what I was smelling. I started to fucking all-out panic. I tell everyone to shut up. I listen and hear breathing, panicking. I assume it's coming from through the air vents in the bunker. We ran upstairs, got our friends, and got the fuck out of there as fast as we could. It may have just been my mind, or the fact that it was getting dark, but I swear, I saw someone leaving the bunker as we started hopping the fence to get out of there. As soon as we got back into town, we called the police and reported the body. It was really weird. We never heard about this on the news, but we did hear about the arrest of a trespasser on the Nike complex, and ever since then, the complex has been guarded by the police. Has anything similar ever happened to anyone else here? Be me, 19 years old. Summer vacations after one university year. Afternoon, 3 p.m. A hot sun outside. Go to supermarket, buy some snacks. OCD patient, take medicine. Side effects anger. Seeing a guy about 50 meters away coming towards me. Time for rage button. As he was coming outside the entrance of the supermarket, realizing he was wearing a long coat, regular pants, and dark sunglasses. Why is he wearing a coat while it's 35 degrees Celsius outside, 95 degrees Fahrenheit? He seemed like he was not feeling anything. He was also huge. Feeling weird, avoiding him. Quickly grab snacks, keep thinking of him. Suddenly, in the end of the hall, it's him. Watch him raging and coming towards me. Raging me also for first 2 seconds. Not afraid of him. Immediately, while he was coming, feeling strange presence up in my head, like he was contacting me telepathically. Terror thoughts coming. Now he is next to me, not even looking, just passing by while I am mentally frozen. I sensed a weird presence, a void, a soulless creature, something I never again felt for someone in life, before or after. Pick up the snack and go away shocked. The thought of this creature, who looks like a huge human only by appearance, haunts me up to this day. He could be related like the creatures in Men in Black or They Live movies. We are talking about someone who can make you experience the feelings of horror, terror, and fear only with his thought, telepathically. Amazing, even spooky experience. Pick semi-related, without tie, hat, and with hair. Less paranormal, more weird. Be me, little kid. Be 2004 to 5-ish in southern Australia. Mum drops me off at kindergarten. Kindergarten's quiet. Lights are all off. No other kids there. 3 to 4 older kids there. Maybe 11 to 14-ish. One guy in maybe mid-20s-ish. Dumb kid me doesn't pick up how off this is. We go on field trip to St. Kilda Adventure Playground. Really neat giant playground by a small beach. Has a fake pirate shipwreck and sketchy underground slides. Can't remember how we got there. Think it was by this dude's car. Fun day. Can't remember anything weird happening. Remember going down slides, hiding in the old wooden castle they used to have. Pick related. Somehow, make it back to kindy. Mom picks me up as normal. This never happens again. Never see kids or men again. Still wonder about this and what happened. It's too vivid to be a dream, as I remember a lot of it so clearly. One of those weird things that happened in the early 2000s. Kind of like mine. B8 and home by myself. Grandma is out on a date. Watching Pokemon in the living room. Hear a tapping on the window. Look through window and see a man. Back the fuck up. He breaks the window. I drop my Pokemon cards I was holding and nope the fuck out. Run as fast as I can to my great-grandpa's house, 4 houses down from ours. Tell him what happened. He calls the police and we go back. The man is gone. Police find something among all the cards I dropped. Hand it to my great-grandpa. He begins to tear up a bit and hugs me. Grandma finally comes home and we tell her. Great-grandpa shows her what the police found. She turns pale and hugs me tightly. The next day, she replaced the window and has them put special latches on them and the doors as well. Few years pass, and I finally work up the courage to ask what they found. Grandma shows me. It's a picture from the inside of my closet at night. You can see me sleeping in the photo. The date is from 2 days before he broke the window. Here's mine. It's pretty spooky. Me and my friends are all in this weird drug rehab cult for kids and young adults in NC called Insight. Everyone just calls it the group. We were always up all night, drinking energy drinks and doing dumb shit. Some of us become obsessed with fear missions, going to haunted places, and sometimes setting up new members by hiding out and scaring them with elaborate plans and stories. One of the real fear missions where nobody hides is called Satan's Bridge. I've been tons of times and not that scary, especially in large groups, but something to do. Satan's Bridge is in NC, but leads into VA. Lots of stories of suicides and satanic sacrifice. Bridge is covered in graffiti. We get there and park same as usual. Huge group this time, including lots of kids who never went on fear missions. We walk down the bridge. White van pulls up on us. It's about 1 a.m. on a weeknight and this is in the sticks. Man in back seat swings the door open and says, "If you really want to see the devil, get in the van with us." We all ran full speed back to car. Was pretty damn creepy, but nothing paranormal I guess. We had found dead animals and bones and candles under the bridge before. Used to work in this little retirement community, just helping around with landscaping, laundry, medicine, and deliveries. We would also do wellness checks on residents with a history of mental health issues or physical health issues. Not too long ago though, in March, it kinda hit us that one of the residents who had been there the longest, this old guy in his 60s who was still rather spry and even mowed his own lawn, had not been seen at any of the little events we'd host for the old folks. Now, we knew he was reclusive. We thought he must have been just sticking to himself or doing one of his hobbies. We decided it was time to conduct a wellness check because he had not been seen by anyone in months. I was one of the people who went to his house. There were just 2 of us, and we knocked. No answer. I start getting that pit in my stomach, and so we knocked harder. I tried peeking through the windows, and the lights were off. I did not want to be a creep and peep into the shower or his bedroom, so we decided to ring up one of the security guards to get a key to his home. We got in, and everything was caked in dust. Everything. Like that kind of dust buildup where you run your hand over a countertop and it creates a thick layer on your palm. We split up to look through each room, but the guy I was with found him first. The fucked up thing? He must have died standing up or something, and stayed that way for days, weeks, months, however long it had been. We found him in the basement, his almost skeletal corpse just leaning up against the wall. The plaster stainless like vomit putrid shit yellow. It was too late to do an autopsy and determine a cause of death, but he wasn't in hospice care or anything. Just kind of freaks me out. Okay, this is in 2 parts. Second is the spook. B18. In college and first real job, working at a sheriff's office, jail/dispatch. Dad is under sheriff. Get signal 30, fatality. Van on fire with a body inside. Detectives were not on duty, so my dad actually took my mom to the scene to do the photos. Former professional photographer. Next day I come to work. Burned van in the carport. No body, but stinks of burned rubber and hair. Dad shows pictures. Body was all black except the head. White skull with a large hole in pink brain matter. The man was executed, placed in the van under a bunch of tires, doused in gasoline, and set on fire. I'll be heading home in a few days. I'll see if I can find the pictures. Part 2. Be almost a year later. Have my mom's friend's daughter and 3 of her friends visiting. Have GF, so try to keep it in my pants. Put in charge of entertaining them. Live close to Spook Light area, northeast Oklahoma. Let's go see the Spook Light. Seen it before, no biggie. We show up. Nothing. I remember the murder in the burning van is nearby. Call Dad and get exact location, only a mile away. Middle of nowhere. Tall dead grass and clusters of trees, winter. Dark as fuck. No houses or lights anywhere. Gate to a pasture. Patch of busted asphalt with debris. Dark spot where the van was. I get out and taunt the girls to get out with me. Nothing going on, but they're already brick shitting. One of them points under the gate. I see black soot under the gate with straight lines drawn. I climb up on the gate and shine my light down. Soot all around the asphalt inside the gate, spread about 15 by 15 with geometric designs. What the fuck? Hear doors slam. Girls ditch my ass, their faces plastered in the windows, looking at me. One girl stays. I loll and drop down inside to get a closer look. As soon as I hit the ground, the dead grass comes alive. Like a huge gust of wind hit it all at once, except there isn't any wind. Hear dead trees cracking together. I slammed into the gate, hurtled over it, and we shot into the van. Girls are screaming. Start van and take off. Girl that was outside in the back. Oh my god, oh my god. I ask what she sees. Just fucking go. Go. We head home. Girl is crying her eyes out, shaking. Won't say what she saw. She only said she was sure I was going to die. She was a weird girl to begin with. I still wonder what she saw. I worked in EMS for a while, in rural West Virginia. We'd get a lot of calls of people who were found out in the woods in national park territory with various injuries. Usually, they'd fallen from somewhere, broken a limb, and had just barely managed to catch the attention of the wandering park rangers. One day though, in June, a while ago, we got probably the strangest case we ever had. The call was normal. A guy was found and said he'd been mauled by some local wildlife. The rangers suggested it was a dog. They said he was in some kind of shock, could not form sentences right, and kept accusing the rangers of biting him. When we got there, the guy was curled up in fetal position under a giant pine tree, clutching his knees, and not really rocking, but shaking. He was not wearing any pants, but he had his legs covered in very poorly wrapped gauze that was already soaked. According to the rangers, they found him like that. We got him into the ambulance and started stripping off the gauze to assess the wounds, and if needed, properly stitch them up. His arms and upper body were pristine, but when we saw the actual marks on his legs, it was obvious this was not a dog or a cougar or anything of the such, because every bite on this guy's legs was a very clearly human bite. And these weren't like little bites or even hickeys, they were bites so hard they drew blood. After we got the guy all stitched up, got him to the hospital, etc., etc., he came to his senses just in time to give a report of what happened, since the rangers had not gotten a clear report out of him. He swore up and down that he had gone out to camp in the woods with his buddy, and when they were stripping down to go to sleep, apparently in the same tent, his friend started biting his legs, small nips at first, before he started breaking skin and trying to tear flesh. The guy's friend was not ever found. His campsite was found, and so were 2 sets of clothes, according to one of the rangers.